Well, let's just jump into it. Yeah, you gave a pretty good thing. My background, I taught pre-K to third grade art, little tiny
Oh
people.
my
Yes,
gosh.
I pre-K to third grade art, taught that for 7 years. Yeah, I did step on some of them. I didn't see them down there. We settled out of court. They're fine. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I did that. Moved on to a vice principal at a middle school. Cut my teeth at administration at a middle school. I think everybody needs to be an admin at a middle school at one point in their lives.
For
Moved on
sure.
to be an administrator, building level principal. That's the bulk of my career was at that spot. Then did assistant superintendent, on to superintendent. And now for the last 6 years, this is what I do. I speak to schools and education organizations around the globe on culture, climate, leadership development, idea development. That's it.
And you're from New Jersey.
And from New Jersey, yes. Now, I don't know if anybody understands New Jersey. New Jersey's two states in one. There's
Okay.
South Jersey and there's North Jersey. I'm from South Jersey.
Okay.
South Jersey doesn't like North Jersey. North Jersey doesn't like South Jersey.
Interesting.
But you mess with any of us, we're all coming at you. So
Okay.
that's just the Jersey way. So I'm a
That's
South
just
Jersey guy.
that's just the Jersey way. I just have this visual of you teaching kindergarten through third grade art where the kindergartners literally come up to your knees.
Yes. Yeah, they were little tiny people, you
How
know.
did you bend over? Like, did you have to sit? Because how
Well,
do you?
this is interesting you say this. I in my art room, we had three long tables where the kids could sit at these three long tables, and I had a chair with wheels on it, and I just rolled from table to
Perfect.
table. I just kept it moving, you know. And then when I
Just
stood up,
bent
I stood
over
up. Yeah.
all day. You'd either have to have knee pads to just walk around on your knees, or your back would hurt from being bent
Yeah.
over looking. So that
Yeah.
chair was a perfect option.
It was good.
All right, so we're going to talk about the top five challenges. So we were going to start with number one being focused on interviews and how interviews tie to teacher retention overall. So
Yes.
you had kind of a unique approach, so I'd like to hear about it.
Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing. When we're talking about getting teachers to come to your building, that's a big thing. So we're talking to administrators, administrative teams. A lot of times I've noticed that schools, they sit on this hierarchy like, well, we are this school. We want them to come to us. And they're finding out there's fewer and fewer teachers that are out there to even come to them. And then when they're begging and hoping that these teachers come to them, then they go through this interview process that is either on either side of the spectrum. Either it's a grueling, outrageous interview process, which is old school, or it's very, very simple interview process because they're just trying to get a warm body into the building, right? And it needs to be thorough, yet quality and succinct. And additionally, every interview person who comes to your building should be talking positively about your building and district when they leave. Who do teachers talk to? Other teachers. Even if they don't have a job yet, they do. So this is what I did when I was a building principal. First of all, when we had an interview spot open, I would open up 25 to 30 interview spots. That's right, 25 to 30 people. I wanted as many people coming through my door as possible. I went through the filter process. You know, you had a little filter, you try to
Yeah.
filter to find the right people. All right. Now, mind you, this is the pre-pandemic, but we did this. So I'd send an email out to all 30 of these people and I say, congratulations, you've gone through the first round of interviewing at Hartford School. Each interview will be 5 to 7 minutes. That's it. 5 to 7 minutes. Here's a spreadsheet, or whoever my secretary came up with something that allowed them to pick what time they wanted to come. And mind you, I allowed the time to be during the day and in the evening. A lot of schools are saying, well, we're going to have interviews during the day because if they want to come here, no. Some of them are classroom teachers somewhere else, and it's hard. They have
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
You administrators, stay late.
Yeah. Right.
So we would have moments that we would stay late into the evening. We'd interview until 9:30 at night, maybe even 10. Look, that's the job.
Yeah.
People are like so grateful because they're going to leave there and say, these people made it great for
Right.
me. So we had 30 people. They all picked their spots. We had 3 questions. That's it. And I gave them 2 of the questions in the email. I
Okay.
am not interviewing you so that you can try to think quickly at the top of your head in a moment's notice. I want you well prepared, well versed, research, come in with your best. So they had the 2 questions up front when they came in. That's why it's 5 to 7 minutes, right?
Right.
Then when they get there, I don't care who else they see. I want them to see all the other candidates lined up down the hallway in the chairs. I don't care if you see them. Some people are like, oh, I don't want them to see anybody else. No, look at them all, because they're all going
Right.
to chit, 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 chat, right? Then when they get there, there's a poster where they sign in that has the third question. So now
Nice.
they
Okay.
have the third question, they have the first two questions, we have our rubric for our interviewing, and there's only 3 people in the interview process, 3 to 4 people. It's not a big table, intimidating of everyone,
Right.
right? I want them to come in, give me their best. Because here's the thing, for anybody who's ever done any interviewing before, you can tell who's an idiot and who's not an idiot within the first minute.
True.
True. Why are we going through a half-hour interview process when we're trying to weed out?
Right.
And I
Plus, it's
gave
a waste of their time and your time. Like if you're not going to hire
exactly.
them. Yeah.
So therefore, I'm getting as many people in as I possibly can. I'm giving you the question up front. If
Yeah.
you can't come succinct and prepared after that, my goodness, thank you for wasting 5 minutes of my time. Next, we zoned that down to the top 10.
Okay.
Now, and after each person is interviewed, thank you. So we come in, how are you? Thank you very much. We do our rubric. On your way out, feel free to tour the building. I want them to walk around. I want them to see the halls. It's okay. I tell my custodians, people are going to walk around, right? They're not going to do anything. They want a job, right? I want them walking out of there talking about my building, because the next time I do interviews, they're like, oh, my friend told me about this place, right?
Right.
We narrow it down to 10. Those 10, we have a second interview with. Those are more succinct questions. It's more traditional. Then we break it down to 2 or 3, do a sample lesson, more traditional. That makes sense to me. Recruiting. That's how you bring people in.
And you know what that does is, so I think like the people that are in your environment that like where they work, they are your best recruiters because they want to work with other people they like. They want to
Yeah.
work with their friend if they can. And I love that. So that's great. Even the people, the new candidates coming in can go and leave and say, oh my gosh, you need to come and work here with me because I love this place. These people are welcoming. Yeah, absolutely.
And I would have other administrators say, how did you get such amazing people? Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. I just
So
wonder.
I do have one question about that. Is it
Mhm.
I have had this happen before where even during an interview, if you say it's 5 to 7 minutes, they have 3 questions. What if someone keeps going on and on for the first
Oh,
question?
in the email, I say to them, please be succinct and to the point. We
Hmm,
will cut you off. I say
okay,
it right in the email.
perfect.
And I will. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm being very upfront. There are
Yeah,
people who go on and on. I'm like, please hold. We have 2 more questions. Did you get your point? Yes, I did. Very good. Next one. And I
okay,
say the question again. I try to make them feel comfortable, but in the same token,
right,
I mean, most of them, they go about, 8 to 10, sometimes they go to 8 to 9, 10 minutes or whatever like that. But we're moving.
right.
And we do this over maybe 2 days. Let's go, let's go, let's go. So yeah.
Love it. I love it. Okay, that's a great strategy for sure.
Mhm.
And it ties to retention because I think just off out of the gate, they're feeling welcome,
Yep.
comfortable,
Yep.
and communicated to. Like you're
Yes.
clear. Like we're not no surprises here. You know the questions, you show up, everything's here. You can see who's applying. You can see the third question. You got
That's
it.
it.
I love it.
Yep.
All right. So that ties to number 2, which is the environment as another challenge. So I mean, we could talk for hours on that. So I'll let you decide what you want to talk about, but what would you say about the environment or some way that you can sort of have some solutions for environments that might be, because clearly there are some buildings that maybe have more troublesome climate and culture than others. So what might some solutions be to work on that? And I'm not saying you have to wave the magic wand and get it fixed quick.
Exactly. I hear you. Yeah. I mean, we could have another whole session just on the importance of climate and culture and what that is all about.
Yes.
Here's the main thing with climate and culture, as far as developing an environment where people want to be. All right. When we're talking about teacher and staff retention, a lot of times we're looking at climate and culture. A lot of people focus solely on the students. Like, we got to get the best climate for educational knowledge for the students. You need to make a best educational environment for the staff. If you can make an awesome
Yes.
environment staff, then the students are going to be just fine.
Yep.
Hello, they're going to be okay. They will be able to do well. Yes, do stuff for the students. Make it happen, right? There was a book that used to be out. If you don't feed the teachers, they'll eat the students, right? So you got to feed them. You got to treat them right. You
I
got to
love
do
that.
something that makes them understood. And part of that process is in empowering the staff. By empowering the staff, that allows them to feel like they have ownership in the school itself.
Yeah.
Now, I get as an administrator, it's very hard sometimes to go out and empower the staff because you don't know what they're going to say. You don't know what they're going to do. Let's flip this right down to teachers, all right? Because administrators, what do? We go into classrooms to do teacher observations, and then we sit there and say, how dare this teacher constantly stand in front of the room, lecture, 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 empower these students, let these students have a voice. But the teachers don't do it because they're afraid of what the kids are going to do and I have better control. Administrators, we're doing the same thing. We're doing the same thing to our teachers. We have to allow them to make some decisions and be able to do that. One of the ways that I've shown staff, to help administrators with their decision making, which then empowers the teachers more, is through the 5 levels of decision making. Now, 5 levels of decision making. This is what it is. You have level 1. Level 1 decision is when the administrator or the leader is making a decision with no input from anyone else.
Okay. No
input. This is my decision. I make it, do this, go, done. Usually these are reserved for emergency situations. All right? Let's say it's a morning bus arrival. A hailstorm comes in. Instantly, administrator goes, keep those buses right there. Tell those kids to go over there. Put a runner down right here for the custodians. Get those kids. I don't have time for a caucus when we have a hailstorm and kids being dropped off. Level 1. Level 2 decision is, as an administrator, you make the decision after you get input from other people. Maybe you're on a committee, you want to get their input. Maybe it's a grade level, maybe it's everybody. All right. So let's say it's your Friday focus email. You send an email out on Friday to your whole staff. Hey, staff, we have this event that's going to be coming up. It's going to be happening soon. Please stop by my office and give me your input on what it is that we should do. All right. What do you say? What do you say? What do you say? You might take what they say, you might not. But the point is that you're getting input to help inform the decision being made. All right, level 1, you make it, no input. Level 2, you make it, others input. Level 3, we make the decision together. All right, teachers, staff, everybody. Maybe you're on a committee, you do a vote. The administrator's decision is no higher ranking than anybody else's. The administrator might be in charge, they might not be in charge. They're a part of it all together. We all decide and everyone agrees we're going to move forward. All right, so level 1, I make it, no input. Level 2, I make it, input from a few others to give me. Level 3, we make it together. Level 4, now you, someone else, teachers, you make the decision after I, the administrator, give you my input. So I'm going to come to you. Let's say you have a grade level meeting. Hey, you swing by the grade level meeting. You know what? As an administrator, I want you to know this, 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 and this. You got it? Okay, good. Go. Make the decision. Keep me informed, but now you're empowered. This is where the empowerment starts to come in. I've given you my input. I'm letting you go. All right. Level 1, I make it. Level 1. Level 2, I make it after your input. Level 3, we make it together. Level 4, you make it after my input. Level 5, you make the decision, no input from me. As administrator, I'm off. Go. You know my vision, you know the values, you know the expectations. That's full empowerment. All right. Here's the magic of the 5 levels of decision making. All right. This is how you move that climate and culture for teachers to feel more empowered, and they're going to stay. The way you do it is you tell and you teach everyone in your building about the 5 levels of decision making. You literally teach all the staff on it. And then from time to time, as an administrator, you say, hey, gang, this is going to be a level 4 decision. Instantly, the staff know he's going to give us information and we'll go with it.
I love it.
Or you say, you had a faculty meeting. You say something, you get input from, you tell everybody up front, this is going to be a level 2, get the input, and then you make the decision. Now, of course, you're going to get those teachers to say, I gave my input and he didn't even use it. But then the other teacher sitting right next to him say, well, wait a second, didn't he say it was a level 2? It just killed it.
Right.
Empowerment. So when you're looking to get that environment where the teachers want to stay, you go through these steps in order to empower them to be better.
Okay, so I just had a thought. Okay, Joe, why don't you ask your question and then I'll ask mine.
Yeah, so Steve, did you see this trickle into the classroom as well so that they would then teach the students about the level 5 and you could just like clickety clack? All right, here you go, guys. Let's go.
Let me explain how this went down. So this was about I was at this one building for 8 years as a building principal. It was an upper elementary school building, 5th and 6th grade, 2 grades. That's it. 1,200 students, big school. I started doing this around year 2 as the building administrator. By the midway of year 3, that's when teachers started using it as well. Like first year, I just used it with my administrative staff a little bit here and there. Year 3, I started doing it with the teachers. By halfway through the year, my student government teacher started using it with them. And then some of the other teachers, once we started talking about student voice, by year 5, it was flowing. Here's the other thing. Things take time. Okay? Sometimes people think everything happens quickly. By year 5, it was flowing.
And that's like the model of the gradual release of responsibility, right? Just that you do in the classroom. And that was
Yes.
exactly my question, is when you see teachers that are using a lot of direct instruction, do you also find that those are level 1 administrators?
Oh gosh,
Level 1
yes. Oh,
decision.
there's so many level. Yes,
Yeah.
there's so many level 1 administrators, and they sit back and they tell the teachers, student voice, da, 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 da. But then you go to a faculty meeting, listen to me.
And
I'm sitting there like,
do you see the opposite? When they start releasing the responsibility, empowering staff to make decisions over time, that the style of teaching changes?
sometimes,
Okay.
yes. The thing is, my whole thing is everything needs to be purposeful. A lot of times we hope things happen in education. Hope is not a strategy.
It is
I'll
not.
say it again. Hope is not a strategy. So let's say that the educator is doing this, right? Gradual release, using decision making, but they're not purposeful and straight up telling the teachers, I'm doing this to empower you. You need to do it too in the just say it.
Right.
You get it,
Right.
you know?
Excellent. I love it. That's great. And I love how you outlined how long it took to implement, because I do think people read, they might read a book and then they'll think, okay, we're going to start this tomorrow. And we're
Yes, and they're wondering why it's not working.
Exactly. All right. So number 3 that you had mentioned previously was around vision, mission, and values as a challenge. I would like you to expand a little bit on how you can tie that to teacher retention.
Oh my goodness, here's the thing. I think many schools and even districts, right? They're just rolling on they're just, again, almost hoping that things are going well. They say these things, but it's not necessarily happening. I think that every school specifically need to have very clear vision, very clear mission, and very clear values. And I'm not talking about a long drawn out vision statement, long drawn out mission statement. Your vision needs to be, and here, let's define vision. The vision is a picture of future success. That's what vision is. A compelling vision of future success. Here's the issue that I have. Administrators, listen up, leaders. Many of you have a vision for your school. You do. But the only time you've said this vision was in the beginning of the year after the bloodborne pathogens presentation. After that, you haven't mentioned it again. And you are banging your head against the wall, wondering why isn't this place moving towards this vision? If nobody else sees your vision, what good is it?
Right.
So part of that retention piece is you have to have people to be able to see that vision. So leaders, say the vision again and again and again and again and again, and talk about it. And when they do things that relate to the vision, oh my goodness, that goes to our vision. Because when they see it, if they see the vision, then they see themselves in it. And therefore, it increases the probability of them staying there. When real estate agents take people out to see homes, what really good real estate agents are saying things to them like, oh, do you see yourself over here? What does your furniture look like in here? They're giving them the vision of what they look like in that home to increase the probability of them wanting it. Leaders, get that vision in front of them. Be able to find a way to express that vision. Mission. Mission is the work, right? That's the work that you do to create the vision. So therefore, you're tying the work that you do. Who do you serve? How do you serve them? What value are you bringing? When are you doing this? And you're doing that work to get the vision. That's how this works. So as the teachers are doing things, you are talking about the mission, goals, mission, how it relates to what it is that you view. Values. Values are the set of core beliefs that guide our behaviors and actions. A set of core beliefs that guide our behaviors and actions. So when you talk about values, they should be single words. We're not talking a long value statement, single words. In this school, we're about teamwork, accountability, integrity. So when you're doing that, when you have the vision, you're doing the mission, the work is guided by those values. And when the teachers embrace, the staff embrace those values, they feel empowered. That's how you can get to the 5 levels of decision making, because they've embraced those values. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. And I'm wondering if then those values, would they be also included in maybe your evaluation process, right? I would think that would tie, like if here's our values, they should be aligned to what is going on in the classroom around your relationships with students, especially the interpersonal side. How are you demonstrating integrity in your class and teamwork with your colleagues?
Yes, I was waiting for you to say that, with your colleagues, because
Yeah.
just as much as we want the students to feel like they're a part of a school
Right.
community, we want the teachers to feel like they're a part of a school community. And so therefore, a part of that evaluation process, let's even do the summative at the end of the
Yeah.
year. How are you embodying the values that we have shown, that we hold dear in this school? Teamwork. How have you teamed with other people and not in your own subject area?
Right.
Okay,
And
yeah.
if they don't align, this is the opportunity to find a place that you better align with.
Exactly. So
And
that's how come we're talking about retention. That's going to anchor people. They're
It
not
is.
going anywhere,
and
even if you have that tough year.
exactly. And I was thinking about, I wonder how many school districts actually have some sort of interpersonal or team colleague designation on their performance evaluation.
A lot of schools grab a Danielson, they grab a Marzano, they
Yep.
grab a Krell, and they don't personalize it. They're doing compliance instead of commitment, and that's another whole thing. Don't get me
Because
going.
I've known a ton of teachers that are great in the classroom and horrible with their coworkers. So that is important, because that's climate and culture.
It
So
is.
I think that's a really good point. I like it. And this ties to number 4 that we talked about, which is leadership. All of these tie to leadership, by the way.
It really does.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about leadership, all right, that leadership means that you have to have difficult discussions by still respecting everyone else. All right. Have the open mindset, be an open mindset person of a leader, type of a leader, where you're willing to show that you've made a mistake. Be willing to understand and to grow and to learn. Take chances. Now, I know, and especially if you're a public educator, a public school, right? You don't want to take too many chances. Oh, my goodness. But unless you do,
Right.
how are you going to grow? I've seen so many amazing schools. I've yet to see any school be outrageously successful just being compliant. Just being
Right.
compliant.
Right.
If you're just compliant, you're not going to be outrageously successful. You have to be committed to the mission, vision, and values of a leader and have some of those difficult conversations. Here's a difficult conversation. And here's the thing, before I even get to that, all of your really great, awesome teachers that have amazing potential, who are really great, they're seeing how you are treating those other types of teachers who are not.
Correct.
They don't want them there. I get it. You have
absolutely
to protect everybody else, but the great teachers, they're the ones that you want to work for. They're the ones that you want to have. So sometimes as administrators, talk about difficult conversations, you have to have the no sabotage conversation. That's what I call this, the no sabotage conversation. What that is you have your certain teachers and educators who are always just negative, negative, negative.
Yep.
And you know they're negative. You're putting in a new initiative, you're moving in the right direction with your vision, mission, values, and they're just not along for the ride. So what you do is you need to pull them in. You need to have a conversation with them and say, look, I realize that you have an issue with X, Y, and Z. I get it that you're not feeling X, Y, and Z. What I need from you is I need your word that you will not sabotage, and to use that word, because you're going to get one of 2 answers. Now, mind you, I've done this about 4 or 5 times in my career. It's not easy, but you have to do it. You get one of 2 answers. The first answer you get is, oh my goodness, I can't even think that of me. Oh, I've been here for 22 years. And as an administrator, don't say a word. Let the silence do the heavy lifting. Let them go. And at the end, so that's a yes. Of course not. Thank you. The second kind of answer you get is this, fine, which means that's what they were going to do.
Right.
And you are having a sensible conversation. You're not writing them up. You're not putting any discipline action whatsoever. We're just having a conversation. And if you have union come back and say, did you say this to him? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. You're not allowed to. Yes, I can. Yes, you can. But then if they do sabotage, then you are fully justified to take the necessary measures necessary to do the discipline that you need.
I love it. And just so we're clear here, I have been a union rep for 7 years, Steve, and I'm telling you, as long as it's been told it's been fair, they knew what the expectations were.
Yes.
And guess what? If you don't like this, there are other places to work. And that's really true now more than ever in the
More
past.
than ever. If you're not
And
happy,
sometimes
go.
it doesn't work, right?
No, it
Sometimes the
doesn't work.
things people are
And
doing, you don't want to be a part of. I get
right.
it.
And I
mean,
say all of this with respect to
absolutely.
the unions or the bargaining unit and all that. I get that. It's 100% respectful, but your best, most amazing teachers deserve better.
And they deserve choice
Deserve
where they
choice.
work. And sometimes the leadership decisions aren't great and
No,
they
they're
still
not.
have a choice.
They do have a choice.
And
But yeah, and that's some of the stuff for leaders that you could start thinking about your leadership, because that will retain your best teachers.
absolutely. And we all know how hard it is to work with other teachers who are not great, because especially when you're in an elementary environment, you can literally track,
Oh,
it's coming, right?
yes.
If they're maybe, teaching a grade level or two below
Mhm.
you, and you're like,
Here
oh,
they come.
here we go. And that can be really difficult. And so working with a strong team makes everybody better. Everybody rises to that level. So that's wonderful. So the last challenge that we're going to talk about, I think, is a big one that really doesn't get on the list of the top 5 challenges. It's there, but it's usually in, like, cloaked in the word burnout. Okay. And this topic is about substitute teachers.
Yes.
How that
See?
ties to retention. And I love this one.
It does. It does so hard, hugely, because when teachers are out and there's no substitutes to fill in, teachers are filling in for each other. And as much as they don't want to complain about that, but they are complaining about that. And it's like, you want to get those substitutes to come to your school, stay at your school, want to be there. Now, look, we all know what the job of a substitute is like. All right. Come on.
And there.
But yes, but what can we do as a school population overall to maximize this experience? This is what I did as a building administrator. Number one, I told my entire staff, teachers, aides, everyone, when you see a substitute in the building, say hello.
Thank you.
Say hello. Even the greasy-haired guy substitute that nobody likes, say hello to him.
Right.
All right? Everyone. Say hello to the substitutes. We even went so far to tell the kids, if you see a substitute, wave, smile, say hello. I want them to feel welcome in this school every single time, even if it's a sub that comes all the time.
Right.
Say hello. Number 2, substitutes sometimes have to go from room to room to room to room. They have all their stuff, they're carrying around. So what I did is I bought some half lockers, double stack half lockers. We got like 6 of them, put them in the teacher's lounge. When substitutes came to my building, the secretary had a set of keys and locks for those lockers. Say, hey, do you need a locker? There's some in the teacher's room that you could put your
Perfect.
things so that you don't have to worry about shuffling yourself all over the place.
I love it.
Like, that's fabulous. Wonderful. And I admit, some of my office staff in the beginning were like, what if they don't bring back the lock? We'll buy another one. It's okay.
And eventually they'll probably bring it back, right?
They'll bring it back. We've always had it come back. I was like, please. So that's the second thing. Third thing, I always told my administrators, me, my assistant principals, my child study team, my guidance, when you see a substitute, ask them how it's going. Just ask them how it's going. Here again, we know we know how it's going, but ask them anyway.
I love it.
Required to check in. This way they can see somebody of authority to some degree is checking in on them.
Yeah.
Number 4, I told every substitute, welcome to Hartford School or whatever school I might be in. If you substitute in my building 20 times, 20 times, you will get a staff t-shirt at the end of it when you get to 20.
Nice.
You get Hartford School, staff, get a t-shirt. And I had substitutes like, hey, I'm on day 17. Yeah, keep on coming back. Keep on coming back.
I love it.
A t-shirt.
Right.
5th thing, last thing I did. If you substitute in my building 30 days, a full month, doesn't have to be consecutively, but at least 30 days, you get to be in the photo at the end of the year, the staff photo. Because we do our staff photo at the end of the year on the teachers. Everybody wears their t-shirt, right? Staff t-shirt. And I say, not only get to be in this photo, you be on the first row with me. And don't you know, every year I had substitutes walking in, bro, come on next to me. Get on in here. Get cozy with me. Smile. And they would smile. I had teachers upset. I had some teachers upset. I said, honey, they're here more than you. Shut up. I don't want to.
I love it.
That's it. That's my top 5 for substitutes. And don't you know, there were times we didn't have substitutes, but for the most part, if they're going into the portal, does that increase the probability they're going to pick my school?
Absolutely. Absolutely. How many times, as somebody who has been a sub, how many times have I gone into a building, no one speaks to me, no one looks at me. I go into the teacher's lounge for lunch. They don't say a word. And guess what? I'm not coming back.
You're not going back?
Nope. I'm not coming back.
I don't understand this. They are a human being. Do you want to have coverage or not?
I don't, and that's my thing. I didn't understand that either. I'm thinking I was a classroom teacher. I chose to sub because of my life circumstances at the time. And it is not an easy job. And you can usually tell who's a pretty darn good teacher because they're actually walking upright at the end of the day, leaving the building, right? Not crying, because there've been a few of those where I'm like, I'm not coming back tomorrow. Like, I'm just going to be straight up with you. I took a job and they changed the designation and put me in a room that I'm not qualified for. Right. I'm like, straight up, not fair. Don't do that to me. So yeah, I agree. I think it's a lot of that climate and culture really speaks to how you even treat visitors in your building. The smiles on faces tell a story.
They do.
They sure do.
Wholeheartedly. And these are, and notice all the stuff I'm talking about. How much does any of it cost?
Maybe it was like $25 for the t-shirt.
T-shirt. But most of it doesn't cost a penny.
Right.
None of this costs any money. And it truly doesn't even take a lot of effort.
No.
The effort to do it is small. Now, let's say that you're someone, you got a lot going on, you forget about it. Type it up, put it on the door, put it next to your door in your office. So when you walk out, you can see it a couple of times. Put it on your calendar to remind yourself to follow up and to do a couple of these things. It's not hard.
And give it to the administrative staff at the front, support staff, so they know if you're not there that I need to say hi, to walk them down to the room, ask them if they need anything.
Substitutes.
Give them a water.
Yeah, even the other things I was talking about, the 5 levels of decision making, that costs nothing to do the 5 level making.
Right.
Understanding your vision, mission, and values, and recognizing people for it, that costs nothing. It makes your life so much easier, and it increases the probability of teachers and educators, staff to stay at your building.
Absolutely. That's a great thing to end on. I do think it might cost some people a little bit of their ego because they got to let go.
A little bit humble.
Yeah. Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. It's a